All right, it looks like we're live. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining this second live stream of the week. I'm excited to talk to Nelson Díaz-Marcano. As some of you have seen, he is the writer of La Borinqueña, a play that was so powerful that I think I mentioned it in I watched it twice. It was really, really important to me to watch it because I'd been following, the history of the birth control trials and the mass sterilization of Puerto Rican women in Puerto Rico. So I think, so I'll give you a quick recap. During the mid-20th century, Puerto Rico became the testing ground for pharmaceutical experiments and aggressive population control policies. At one point, more than a third of women here were sterilized without full information or consent. Through the theater, La Borinqueña revisits these stories and asks difficult questions about colonialism, medicine, reproductive rights, and the lives of Puerto Rican women whose experiences were ignored for decades. So, without further ado, let me bring in Nelson. Hola, Nelson.
Hola, baby, ¿cómo estamos? Doing good.
And thank you for doing a morning interview, porque yo en verdad en la mañana is the only way.
No, it's great. I have kids, so the morning was great for me.
Yeah. Pues cuéntame, tú estás en Nueva York, tú estás ahora New York City.
Yo estoy en Nueva York, estoy de aquí hace como 20 años, pero me crié en Puerto Rico, en Gurabo.
En Gurabo, okay.
Yeah.
Was the transition pretty tough? I know I talked to a lot of diaspora who was like, it's a really tough transition.
Yo me fui solo. So yeah, you know what I mean? Like I went alone, I went to college, wow. I wanted to do film and TV and stuff like that. So I came alone, so it was hard. I think la parte que fue bien difícil was that part of like, realizing how deep racism is in the mainland country of the United States. Like it came really quick at me, especially since, in as much as we don't, o sea, a la gente no le gusta hablar lo de la raza en Puerto Rico.
I know.
But over there, I was treated like a white guy. Because I mean,
Exacto.
Mi hermana, she's black. She's more black than me, and like, so I saw like that privilege happened in Puerto Rico, and then I moved there. And suddenly, I was not white anymore. Suddenly, I was like, what's happening here? So it was like a nice crash course on like racism.
Exactly.
And like it brought me back to here and seeing como pasa aquí también, en Puerto Rico. No en Nueva York, Puerto Rico.
Exactly. No, and I'm glad que hablas de esto because there's a lot of conversations happening right now in different ways. The abolition of slavery aquí en Puerto Rico fue marzo 22, así que they're having events around the abolition of slavery, and we have more to talk about there. Pero I wanted to ask you, as you moved over there and you started to see the racism, you started to see like the disparities, what led you to the story of, me imagino que tú escuchaste de mass sterilization y the birth control trials cuando estabas acá, ¿verdad? You had heard about it?
No. En Puerto Rico, when I grew up, they didn't talk about those things. A eso estaba totalmente escondido. Alviso era un terrorista, lo que nos decían y todo eso. Y lo de esterilización, yo sabía que esterilizaban, pero el birth control trial era que una cosa que se hablaba, pero nunca se hablaba, tú sabes. Wow. People would talk about it, but it was like, oh, these things happen. And then, as I grew older and I got out of Puerto Rico, it does do good to you to like get to the outside so you can see from the outside in. And like, I started seeing that all those, una cosa que pasó Puerto Rico, all of a sudden there's a lot of those, there's Dr. Rhodes injected cancer, there is the folders, la carpeta, we have Albizus radiation attack, we have the Cerro Maravilla, Vieques, we got, and continues. And like you said yesterday in the boxer that wasn't even supported by his government, which is not new. That has happened so many times. I mean, the story of Preciosa, the story of the Son Preciosa.
Y todavía hoy mismo, like, there's still surveillance.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, it's been happening. Yeah.
Look at what happened with Bad Bunny and Rene's movie.
También.
They are blacklisted. When we were supposed to get funding from the government for La Borinqueña, they didn't want to. They basically blacklisted us too because of the story. So
they don't want it. Yeah, they don't want stories that kind of like, because like you said, you only found out about it when you left.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy to me.
Well,
I never talked about it either. Yeah.
I found out exactly what a bigger deal was. Like, Puerto Ricans, I don't know, because I haven't lived there in the last 10 years that much. I mean, in the first 10 years, I used to go back and forth way more. But when I grew up, Puerto Ricans were just like allergic to the history, allergic to the idea that like we queríamos tapar el sol con un dedo. You know what I mean? No, things are good. Things are good. Fiebre popular, PNP, whatever. You know what I mean? Let's keep going. Like, but the truth is, like, no benefactor should be able ever test on you experiments that are not safe. So when you hear these stories and you see how much it happens, it really like baffled me. And coming here and seeing when I started discussing it with other people, and they were like, "What?" Not only like Puerto Ricans don't know, Americans know less. And let me tell you, Americans don't even have. Now they're trying to find out that Puerto Rico is part of America.
Yeah, exactly. Like now they're like, wait a second, what do you mean that there's a situation here? Como que siempre se ponen the formulas in their head, you know, como que no pueden comprenderlo. So I'm glad that you did this play, right? Like, I'm glad that it was a way for you to take all of this painful history and say to yourself, okay, I want to. ¿Había un momento donde tú dijiste que ahora quiero hacer el play, o fue que en conversación con otras personas, how did it really come together?
So it took me a little bit. It took me a little bit to get to my voice as a writer.
Yeah.
You know, at first, I always was told, and I will give Reggie Gaines from Harlem, a writer of Stump It Out on Broadway back in the 90s. He was talking to me one time, and I remember this. He saw my play and said, "See, yeah, you are a really great writer, but where's your soul?" And that thing hit me so hard. And I took a break for 3 years because I wanted to review, do things. And suddenly I realized that I had one play that I wanted to bring back because it was never seen. I was lucky that my plays have always had audiences. I had one about the Chilean coup. So I did it. And I won Best Play. On the festival that I did it, won Best Play. I was like, maybe. I was like, no, maybe. I was like, this is my voice. I want to talk about it. I was like, but I want to talk about Puerto Rico. And I started with a play with Albizu about the revolt in 1951 and how it affected families. And from there, I just started talking about Puerto Rico and the myth and things like that. Because at the end of the day, I just feel like, you know, I'm telling the stories that I want my kids to know about Puerto Rico. Who knows dónde va a estar Puerto Rico en 20 años? And my kids are just 5 and 2. So, like, I have a play about Pepito Rosa y Juan Bobo. I have plays about things like that are part of our culture and kind of fighting the erasure. So there was a moment specifically that somebody asked for science plays, the EST Sloan, the one that ultimately commissioned. And I just, it had been bothering him. But more importantly, my mother had passed away. Oh. And I was looking for a play to pay tribute to her and stuff like that. And when I saw that Borinqueña, it was supposed to be like a weird thriller with the scientists and whatever. And then I realized that what I wanted to show with La Borinqueñas, more importantly, was the one thing that makes Puerto Rican women so resilient, which it is that through all this trial, through all these things, they rely on community to uplift each other. They rely on Bochinche to be able to tell each other the actual experience. They raise us beyond their capabilities all the time. And I was like, this is the people that I want to pay tribute. I don't want to pay tribute to the doctors. By the way, there's a play right now, after my play, by Jessica Juan, that is called The Birth of the Pill, and it's celebrating the doctors. Anyway, they always counter.
They always find a way to create their own history. Yeah, no, and y gracias por eso, because knowing that history and knowing, you know, what led you here, it made sense when I was watching the play. All of the women in the play felt like my friends or my family. Like, it felt real. They felt real, like real people. And I, you know, again, I thank you as a writer, because that is a big part of it. You know, a lot of times in film or in plays or in general in TV, we see women, but it's always like very surface level. And each of these characters, literally every single character you wrote, felt like someone that by the end of it, that I knew. Como que las entendía, like a lot of laughter as well. So I thank you for that, because I think what you did with the play was brilliant. You brought in this really heavy subject, but you also brought in the Puerto Rican culture, the comedy, in a way that felt light, you know, in a way that didn't feel forced. And I just, como que me acuerdo, like, just feeling the room, just like be able to breathe. Sometimes we were all crying. Yeah. Me imagino you've been in the crowd when people have watched the play.
I've been in the crowd. Cuéntame. I saw it in New York, Puerto Rico. I didn't get to see it in Chicago. That one in Puerto Rico, to say that experience was probably my favorite experience of my life. I've been trying to get a play in Puerto Rico. I've been a produced play right now for 20 years. In the last 5 years, I've been produced off Broadway and such, but I haven't been able to get to Puerto Rico. So being to Puerto Rico, you have no idea how scared I was. Because I was like, this is a 600-seat theater. ¿Quién carajo me conoce aquí? You know what I mean? I was like, oh, you know, the actors, which by the way, the cast, Yamaris La Torre, Enali Figueroa, they were incredible. They were just killing it. So they gave me so much, like, I knew the play was going to be good. I just didn't know if people were going to come. So to see that place fill up 3 days in a row, and like, even more importantly, and you know, I love Puerto Rican people. It's like literally the love of my life. But there's certain people, like my dad, who I love more. You know what I mean? And my dad, this was the first time that he saw a play of mine. This is the first time that he ever did a work. And my dad is not exactly, you know, he's a jibarito de Gurabo. You know what I mean? And I talked to myself, and he's like the most awesome dude in the world. But like he, you know, doesn't do theater and things like that. So I thought to myself, even if he falls asleep in school, you know, he made it. He was crying. He was laughing. He came in the middle of the thing, gave me a hug. There's a picture of me and him at the end where he's crying and I'm crying, hugging each other. I'm like, literally, the best moment of my life was in Puerto Rico seeing it happen, because I wrote it here for people to know our context. But in Puerto Rico, it's different. In Puerto Rico, I wrote it for you all. And I wrote it for us. So like for people to connect with it, for people to cry, for people to come out of there and feel this. I saw all these posts. I saw people like that I admire, like Victor Alicea, saying like about the play. And I was just like, not just touched, but I realized that I know now that what I'm doing is the right mission.
Yeah.
It is needed.
Really
it is needed to tell these stories. But more importantly, it is needed to tell these stories where people can relate to, because the more they can relate to, the more they can take the story in. And at the end, con la Borinqueña, for example, I didn't want to give you a history lesson. I wanted to tell you the story of this woman. And if the story is about the woman, the pill just disrupts their lives. But the story is about their woman. If you're interested in the birth control trial, there's a lot of information for you to go and get it. I'm going to show you the people that survived.
You're like, here is something that you're going to want. After this, you're going to want to go to the library, pick up like 5 books.
Yeah.
So you're going to see you achieve that for sure. I mean, but was there, when you were writing the play, was there anything that you would say was challenging about putting it together? Was it the characters? Was it like finding the history? Like
the women were never the problem.
Claro, yeah.
The women I was raised by women. My friends are women and queer people. You know, I do have some straight friends, but it's very minimal. People always make fun of that. My bachelor party was mostly gay men. So like, they have this connection to them, and like for me to tell the story of Las Borinqueñas had to be for them. The problem is when I did it in New York, I had to also involve the doctors, and that was very difficult to do. Right after, and the production was where we see it sold out the fastest on EST history, but you know, a lot of great things happened to it. But I wasn't happy with it. I didn't want the doctors there. So the challenge for me then became, how do you open a show off Broadway and then change the whole thing? And I did. I took the doctors out. I made more out of the women, kept only Idris, because she's a woman, and I felt like that was important to put. And I just risked it. And I literally went to Vision Latino in Chicago, and I was like, hey, I have this new version. You guys like the one in New York? Do you guys want to produce it? And they loved it, so they decided to. And then the ones in Puerto Rico, they had a script before that. I was like, no, I have a new script for you guys. With MC Maria Cristina, work with me in the New York, the producer, the main producer, work with me in the New York stage one. So I was like, no, just do this one. Thank God everybody thought it was better. Thank God that everybody thought it was a better option. And it did. It did. Like, in Chicago, it had incredible reviews. In Puerto Rico, like it connected to it. So like I would say the challenge to get to my own version of it.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. But it's funny that you say that you were able to like just take out all of these, the men, the doctors that were, and it still felt like a very, and I think that's something that we've talked about too here in terms of like not trying to focus so much on the colonizer, focusing on us, focusing on our own indigeneity, our own Blackness, our own understanding who we are from a perspective of us, not from their perspective. So I really appreciate that. That's a beautiful, that's a beautiful way to introduce that. And so I guess, I think about the characters. I was thinking about, I'm always bad with names, but obviously you're going to know the woman who, in the story, who left Puerto Rico because her father, Maria. So Was there a particular character that you connected with most? I really connected
that's
with
me.
Maria. Sí.
Maria is me. Yeah. Maria is definitely the one.
Okay.
That's why I was laughing, because I was like, oh, this is like character you connected. So Maria is my avatar.
Sí.
My avatar. Yeah, I'm guy that went to Puerto Rico, very activist, very like bocón, always getting into trouble, tried to come down for a little bit. The itch didn't let him. Started writing plays about Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
And instead of being quiet and become smaller, I became louder. And that's what Maria's journey is.
Yeah. No, her journey definitely. It also was wonderful to see her connection with the other woman who was, what was her name?
Fernanda, the one that she's
Fernanda,
in love with?
her and Fernanda, just like that was, I cried so hard.
Mariana Monclova and Anushka Medina.
Oh my God.
I told them this because like the two people that did it in New York are like really close friends of mine, and like they developed it with me, and they always made me cry too.
Sí.
Maribel Martinez and Ashley Maria Ortiz, they were great. But my God, Anushka Medina at the end grabbing the freaking firefly. Yeah, it destroyed me. It destroyed me. Like I've seen this play so many times that I felt like I was numb to it. Because I saw when you are
Exacto.
when you have a place in New York City, it's not like in Puerto Rico that you get rehearsal once or twice and then you only run for 3 times. No, like I was in rehearsal from 10 to 6 every day, then go to rewrites, then have the rewrites ready by 10 p.m. to come back at 10. So I seen this play, I work on this play, I did this play, like, and then you have a preview session. So you have 2 weeks where you have to do the rehearsals in the morning, and then you have to see the show at night, then go home, do the rewrites, and come back the next day to do it over again.
Wow.
So I thought to myself, I was like, oh my God, I'm so done with this play. I can't even stand it anymore. Like, you tell me something about Maria Fernanda, Yolanda, Isabela, la mando a todas, pues carajo, I can't stand it. And one day I was like, wait, this story's not done.
No, and that's such a good point, that it's really like the writing being incredible, obviously the dialogue, the way you wrote, but also the way the actors here and out there, the way they represented it so well. Yo siento que dice mucho, porque you really did create something that was for us, by us. ¿Tú me entiendes? Como que that felt, that identity was felt. Y siento que, there was a lot, as we're talking about the themes in the play. Obviously, you bring in the theme of migration. You bring in a lot of these visuals. También me encantó in the play when there was like archival stuff. How did you bring that into it? Porque the archival, just for people who haven't seen it, the archival piece was really beautiful because it was kind of like projected right on the screen, and so you would hear some of the things that were said, and also you would see some of the news and sort of the propaganda, I think was really impactful to me. So can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean, I work, like I moved here because of filmmaking. So like, I'm very much about video and things like that, but I got in love with theater, and like, I always think about multimedia, like everything, even theater. And one of the things for me was like to represent both who we are, but also who we were. Like what got us here, and that's a little harder to do when you like on a play because you don't have that much time to be able to tell the story. So a lot of the times that we wanted to do, I only actually said like, hey, I want some projections about this. I would just write. Yamales La Torre and Milton Cordero found those, and they chose those that were chosen. Some of them come from Rebecca Paricio, New York production. They used to here, and then they brought them over there because. And like I said, Boundless Theater was one of the producers here and producers there. So they brought some of the same projections, but it was all about making feel people like this is bigger than the room. While at the same time, this is a small, intimate play about 5 women. So like it was just about, using all the tools that we had to be able to like reach out as much as we could.
Yeah, and I like that where it's like the dialogue, it didn't interrupt, the play very much. Like, it's funny because when we saw the projections, it just felt like it was part of the world. Like, you really created a world for us. And I think, like, especially when I think about the propaganda, the dialogue also helped because I remember there was a part where Maria was saying, like, how can you say there was a choice? Porque yo siento que this is something we don't really talk about even here, aquí mucho. Among like general population. The activists, we got it. Como que entendemos que no había there wasn't a choice in terms of like independence because they were repressed. so much. But the way that you described that, yo creo que that was beautiful. Because like I think, and the way that the woman responded, again, I'm bad with the names, but when the person she was talking to, when she said like, how could that have been a choice? Como
Yolanda.
Sí, Yolanda, como que, explícame un poquito, because I think Yolanda in a lot of ways represents a lot of the women here, like my mother, when I talk to her about like Albizu, or when I talk to her, now she's okay.
Yeah,
when
my mom at the end the same.
3 years ago, she was like, bien calladita, como que, no sé. Pero now she's like, she engages. So
that's
talk to me a little
how
about
bad these politicians have done. All these people were ready for them 20 years ago, and now they're like, you know what? Maybe El Piso wasn't so bad. When you have cuando tienes a los viejos ready to like revolt, you know you're messing up, man. Because like they were all, well, yeah, I guess that perfectly for Yolanda. Yolanda is, you know, that woman from the neighborhood that is always like that. You know, like someone that is ultra religious, ultra judgy, but she kind of is the one that takes care of everybody. So they let her be that. You know.
Exactly.
Like we all have one like that in the neighborhood, doña something, you know, la doñita will save you. And that's the thing. They will save, they are the mother and grandparent of everybody. And that's Yolanda. But at the same time, this is a person, like we said before, this is a person that had no choice. And instead of being afraid anymore, she decided to lean in. You know what? Let's have a nice life. Because at the end of the day, that sounds nice, you know? That sounds great. If I can just forget all the bad things that are happening now, I can turn blind and just live in Puerto Rico with the gringos, I'll be good with that. But I can't stand the fact that I go there and I see more white people than Puerto Ricans now. So, like, there is that certain sense of Yolanda in the sense of, Yolanda was created both to, like, show this part of Puerto Rico, but also not villainize these kind of people. Like,
exactly.
You know, they always mess us up. Yeah, they're on their way, but you have to realize this. Some of these viejitos saw things that we didn't. These things that we read, they saw, they lived. That's terrifying. Think about the people that saw the revolt. It's like, oh, how come they all give in afterwards? Like, well, if you saw your town get bombed by the U.S., the biggest military in the world at the time, still today, you'll be afraid too. Like, let's not talk about like we're gonna be Rambo and put all those guns and fight. We can't. We'll get destroyed. We're gonna do a lot of screaming to get killed in 2 seconds. You know?
I love that you say this too, because it's like, having that focus instead of calling them villains or instead of judging and anything like that. Because I've seen the comments on Instagram that personas que son como very judgy about that. And I'm like, did you live that? Did you see that? They're very quick to be like, okay, now we can start the revolution. Pero, and trust me too. But it's like, what are we talking about when we say these are people that saw things that we love to hypothesize. In that situation, I would have risen up. Mira lo que está pasando ahora. Right? Let's talk about current politics. Where are the people? Those same people. Where are they on the streets? Where are they like doing that? Because as much as we can say, no, we're not being controlled. We are being controlled. There's surveillance. There's control in the sense of like how people react to things. Right? We're very quick to send a message online and criticize each other, but we're not willing to create that solidarity and organize together in community. ¿Me entiende? And sorry if it sounds a little bit like...
No, you're completely right.
On my rant.
It's the problem of the keyboard warrior, right? Like now we have a lot of people that think their voices matter. I mean, voices matter, but if you're not in the right place, what are you doing? Oh, you're on Instagram and on Facebook doing your like little posts about it, and you don't do anything outside, then you're not doing anything. You're in an echo chamber. Chances are your friends all agree with you anyway. So who? Are you trying to impress your friends? That's cute. There's actual work to do out there. How about a platform like, I think about what Bad Bunny's doing, for example. Using, some people, he's on Amazon. I get that. That's a messed up plan and things like that. But at the end of the day,
you have
to compromise to create the platform.
Yeah.
That compromise created now a movie called Puerto Rico that's going to show a part of our history, that a major film, you know? Compromises have to happen. It's negotiations, it's deals. It's about staying supportive and stuff. And like nowadays, outrage culture has become so bad that the peaceful.
That's how the algorithm wins, though. The algorithm like feeds off of that, right? And that's true. There are I would say that there's certain ways that we need to be able to like hold multiple realities and understand that. You know, I was driving over to Aguadilla the other day, and we were passing by, yo creo que ¿cómo se llama? Barceloneta, yo creo. Estábamos por allí, and I saw the Amazon like center. No sé si has visto que they have like a big Amazon center.
No,
Y pues,
lo escuché que había, pero no lo he visto.
See, like, I agree with you. There's certain ways that we have to compromise, but also certain ways that we can still resist and still create, you know, complex, have complex and nuanced conversations like you do with the play. Yo siento que ahí tenemos algo. That's why I think art does actually bring out, like you said, an ability to talk about history, an ability to guide people, como tú dices, people that before, oh, no quiero hablar de esto, or tú sabes, they would have opinions that were more conservative, but now are sort of realizing like, no, it's not you versus me, it's us versus the top. Tú sabes, us understanding like, esto viene de algo much older than we can even imagine. So, you know, I appreciate that point because necesitamos gente como que uniéndose.
I think the thing that is uncomfortable that we have to have a conversation if we were gonna think about having an idea of independence is that we have, like Nipsey Hussle said, gentrification is not bad if we do it ourselves. If we ourselves start leveling up the places, for example, if I go to Gurabo and start putting stores and things like that, I may bring in more affluent Puerto Ricans, but it's Puerto Ricans. At the end of the day, you either grow with them or somebody will take over. And that's the thing. It's like we didn't grow with it. And we have let the Americans come in.
Understand where is it coming from? Who's it benefiting? Is it benefiting our community or is it benefiting the outsiders?
They put a Walmart in Caguas, and all of a sudden, Pueblo and all of them close by. So all of a sudden, you're supporting America and you're not supporting. You know what I mean? That's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. It's like, yes, Walmart is more convenient. But now you have less of you because of it.
And now we know it's tied to some of these other like billionaires and weird things with our food. And I think that that's also something that people are understanding. Like all of these corporations are tied to like the ways that our air and our food or our water supplies, everything is being poisoned. And I think that, like you said, we have to find like local people. Y siento que there's been that conversation too of like Puerto Ricans coming back and how some people are very against it. And some people are like, oh, but I also, like you said, we have to argue too of like, how do we do it in a culturally, in a sensitive way too? Just thinking about how also sort of, it's funny because for me, I was born and raised outside of the island, you know, I came back and forth. You're actually very culturally like grounded because you have that lived experience here. Y siento que se ve en el play. That's why I really appreciate that you brought in that and the fact that you said you were a little nervous when you came here, but knowing that aquí la comunidad se tiene que, you know, respaldar and we have to like be there for each other because there's really like now we're being divided in all kinds of ways, you know.
I mean, the thing about it is like in New York, I'm like the Puerto Rican writer that just refuses to lay down. That's how people say like this guy. Now I'm a literary director. You know, there's deals and things like that. But in Puerto Rico, yo soy un jíbaro de Gurabo, you know? Un jíbaro de Aguas. That's how I see myself in there. You know, I grew up in el campo de Aguas trying to go get the eggs from the chicken's nest to be able to have breakfast. So, like, when I go to Puerto Rico, and then I went to Notre Dame High School, which was a private school, because my aunt was part of the board. And so they let me in. But then that was a very weird.
Yeah, you started to see. When you go to the U.S. and you go to college and you see, I recently saw someone post a story about her experience at Harvard. It's like when you go there, you see the elitism and you see like the class disparity at like another level. So it's weird. Se siente como que se siente raro.
Everybody's kind of close in Puerto Rico. Even the rich people are like around. You know what I mean? Tú sabes quiénes son los riquitillos del pueblo.
Claro.
You know, everybody knows who is the rich guy, blah, 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 blah. But when it comes here, those people are on the other side.
Yeah,
I went to Stony Brook University. I always remember this. Around Stony Brook, it was like normal houses and whatever. And one time I was dating this German girl that used to be babysit for this super rich family. And she's like, oh, let's go to Oldfield. I was like, what is Oldfield? Never heard of it. I was like, we start driving there. All these houses, first of all, you couldn't see them because they're by the cliff and there's just gates. After we entered the gate, I had to like drive 5 to 10 minutes to get to the house. And one time we went there at 2 o'clock in the morning and there's no light. So I turned off the light and it was like Boca de Lobo. You couldn't see anything.
Wow.
And then at the end of that, though, a huge mansion away from the people. 5-10 minutes drive away from the people. And a whole forest. But that's how they live. And like, that's how you see it.
Yeah. Like, and it's really interesting, right?
They don't see each other in Hiles. They don't see each other in Pueblo. You know what I mean? Like,
nope.
at all.
They live very secluded lives. Yeah,
they don't get out of the house.
from the regular or the normal people. See, it's interesting because I think in light of everything that's being revealed and things that are being shared online and decided there is like an elitism out there, and there's like what people are calling now the predatory class, I guess, too. Que siento que that's important to talk about. Like, all this wealth has been so concentrated, and that's why a lot of people are sort of like struggling and trying to figure out what it is. And it's really, como tú dices, the people at the top live these very secluded lives. And I know we're going off topic, pero sí, como
no, but it is very on topic. But it's very on topic because at the end of the day, they're only on top because we let them. There's people here literally defending billionaires.
I know.
Because trickle-down economics. I'm like, when has trickle-down economics ever worked? When has it ever worked? When have they ever tried to give you more work? You know what I mean? Like, and it's not, and that's the thing. It's like, I know we all talk about white people, but it's American. It's a very American thing.
It is very culturally American thing, say.
Individualistic. It is, that's what it is. It's an individualistic culture. And it's funny because, like, if you see, like, I have a play called World Classic, which is our World Classic of Baseball, 2017, the first time that they did the Rubio thing. And it's just about a family trying to prepare for the game, but like, all the bochinches start simmering out, and a normal Puerto Rican party, and then everybody starts screaming at each other, and then at the end they're all friends, just like any Puerto Rican party.
Yep.
The first reading we had, I remember people and this is the one that kind of blew me up. Everybody was like laughing, blah, blah, blah. But I remember the first person, we had a feedback because it was a reading, it was a developmental reading. And the first person to raise her hand was this Polish 80-year-old lady. And she said, that I know that was in Spanish, but that was my family.
Wow.
And like Borinqueñas, I often heard that from people in Serbia, people in like many other places. Like Irish people came and told me, like, this is, I mean, it's different in the sense, but like, this is how we did, like the women did. I was like, yeah, because most other cultures are matriarchal and like respect, besides English and American. But the other one respect their women, but always had that reaction. We also had somebody scream at the doctors on stage.
Wow.
And we had a victim.
That's so interesting.
We had a victim to the show too.
Wow. Yeah, no, it's so interesting how, like, you're right. You can tell a very cultural story, but it can feel very global. It's just people have been so focused on like, oh, I don't know if this is universal enough. Me imagino que you have a lot of advice, right, for writers who are like trying to get their stories out.
This is my number one rule for writers when I teach writing. The more specific you write, the more universal it is. Don't try to look for universal stories. Don't try to do broad sides. People can smell desperation and can smell homogeneous, and you're not saying anything. You're just saying a lot without saying anything. When you're specific, when you're talking about what it is, when you're like, the thing that is universal in this world are the feelings: hate, love, like surprise, happiness, things like that. That translates everywhere. You can make a play about that and your culture, and guess what? Suddenly people are more interested because they haven't seen it in this culture. I see American hate, but how do Africans hate? You know what I mean? How do Ghana hate or love or things like that? Yes. That's what I'm interested in. How do Puerto Ricans survive these things? How do Cuba survive these things? Different things, but same problems. So I will say that at the end of the day, it's like, be specific. Have a voice that is yours, because people will figure out that at the voice. The themes and topics, people always be chasing trends. Everybody chasing trends, and guess what? There's going to be a better writer than you. And there will be. There's better writers than me out there. I hope so, because I hope that I
you're like, I want to get better.
Yeah.
No, that's how it is. Always. Like, there's always room to get better and to like explore other things. And speaking of exploring too, como que hay otros temas que quieres explorar? Are there other stories you want to write, or are you focused on a new project? Or
I have done 1951 Revolt. I've done 1898, 99. And a cosmic horror play about how Americans it uses cosmic horror. Cosmic horror. The whole idea is that something that you cannot control is so terrifying. Colonialism. You cannot control colonialism, and so it brings like but it's not using like Borinqueñas. It's not like preachy. Very much about the 1898 takeover. I've written about a myth about Atabey, trying to find Atabey because Puerto Rico was dying, with all the folklore characters like Juan Bobo and other ones. Not Juan Bobo alone, but like Yeah, there's a lot. Hasta chupacabras.
Me encanta. That's awesome.
He's become a village. And right now, I'm working on a few things. I'm working on a Cerro Maravilla play. I've been commissioned to write a Cerro Maravilla play.
Yes.
I'm writing a play about the Arecibo Observatory.
I see.
How the land it gets affected by it, but it's more of a comedy, that one. Right now, I got another Sloan commission to do about a paellera. And it's like a romantic comedy. That one I wanted to do like an old school Puerto Rican like romantic comedy, raunchy, those and foods and things like that.
Yes.
Yeah, those are the three things. And we're working on a film adaptation on La Borinqueña with some major names.
Ay, qué bueno. Yes.
That's what we're working right now when it comes to Puerto Rican history. I mean, that's all my work. I work on that,
Yes, that's a lot though. You're busy. You're busy. Qué bueno. Y qué bueno que también you're finding ways to tell the story in different formats. Eso es bien importante. Sí.
It's just, I mean, I love it. I love it. At the end of the day, like, it feels right. I mean, everybody else is writing about everything else. Who's writing about Puerto Ricans?
Yeah, very, very few. And it's funny because obviously, like, I've been here in Puerto Rico, so I've seen how difficult it is to make films, how difficult it is to make plays. So yo me imagino que hay mucha gente. Pero hay una película, is there a film that you've watched that's like a Puerto Rican film, either old or new, something that, really touched you? Or like, is there a film that you could tell people like, hey, go watch that Puerto Rican film?
Well, okay. So, Lo que le pasó a Santiago, always. Love that movie.
Sí.
The one that was Oscar nominated. It's beautiful. It's a comedy. Actually, a lot of the humor in Borinqueña is another comes from Lo que le pasó a Santiago, because that's the kind of what I love about Lo que le pasó a Santiago is the way that it humanizes everything. It's very important. But there's a movie that I think I'm the only one that remembers this movie. It was during the 90s. There was like this weird like push for movies on TV, and there was a movie called Callejón de los Cuernos. And it was about La Perla, and I fucking love that movie. I love that movie. It was on TV. It was on Guapa. I think it was like 97, 98. I remember this thing.
No.
I think René Monclova was playing a junkie, and he was amazing at it. Like, I love René Monclova. I got to work with his daughter and his niece, and I was like, oh my God, I want to work with him too.
No, like, una familia tan talentosa. Yeah, they're amazing. Sí, sí.
But like, my mom always, like, my mom didn't know acting, but she knew René was good. She always used to say, oh, that guy is so good. I was like, but she only saw the coach. She never saw him in a drama.
I love it. Oh, but anyway, I know that we're running on time. I know you're like, based on all these projects, you're so busy. Is there anything else you want to share with people about the writing or about the themes or anything you want to share before we close out?
I mean, speak out, because if you don't speak out now, it's gonna be later. Later is late. So if you care about something, don't let other people take care of it for you. Like it is terrifying. It is difficult to get into this position where you can like get targeted by governments and things like that. But ultimately, at the end of the day, like, what else do we have in this life but like what we love? And if you love your country, if you love Puerto Rico, speak out, because they're taking it out from us.
Yeah, no, I thank you for that, because there's a march on March 28th con Defiende a Cabo Rojo, el Proyecto Esencia, that we don't want to come here because we know that if that starts, they're going to take every, piece of the coast. Como tú dices, it's like we have to fight for it if we want to keep it, right? And we want to, we want Puerto Rico to stay aquí para la gente de aquí. And of course, immigrant communities too, we want them to feel welcome, porque lo que está pasando con los detention centers, both here and out there, horrible. Like we don't support that. So nada, gracias por el tiempo. This was an amazing conversation. I hope a lot of people get a chance to watch this, and hopefully we can do this again when you are officially announcing your next project.
Yeah, I will let you know when that happens. I absolutely would love to.
Claro que sí. Pues gracias.
Muchas gracias. Nos vemos.
All right.